boys and girls from the network automation world. It's Network Automagic, episode 11, and we always have a very special guest, but this time it's a very, very special guest. Ivan Pepelnjak is joining us to talk about both Netlab, a little bit about himself, and what exactly are we doing with AI-generated configs, and how can we leverage them to either empower our interns or first-level support engineers to be able to do something of value, or is it all going to turn into a hellscape one day at a time? That's a question for Ivan. But Urs, are you with us, buddy?
Yes, I'm here, of course.
There he is. See, people have been saying that he's been dead since COVID, and that I've just been, playing clips of him. He is here. He is alive. He is well, and he is joining us.
Seen him at AutoCon, so yes.
There you
I
go.
can vouch that his body was moving.
But Steinn always had his hand very close to his back. I don't know what was happening. So, Ivan, thank you for joining us on the show. For people who don't know about you, I'm going to give you I'm going to actually do your intro because I know enough about you. So, one of the OG CCIEs, you've written more Cisco textbooks than, I've read, which is a lot. There's a bit, you had a consulting business back in the day. I found out that you'd actually put your hands on my network way back in the day. So we started to look around and it's like, yeah, Ivan consulted for us. Like, what? How small of a world is this? So he knows about all my dirty secrets from back in the day. Don't tell the listener. So, Ivan, yeah, what are you up to these days, though? We just saw you at AutoCon.
Well, I was sick and tired of bitching about network stupidities. Yeah, well, it's fun for a while, and then it gets boring, and then it gets annoying, and then you just give up.
Well, that's a basic show, so yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. I still love to do presentations where I'm bitching about networking vendors, as I did at AutoCon, and it was great fun.
We really enjoyed.
Anyway, a few years back, I started working on this open source software that is implementing, how did I define that? Intent-based digital twin lifecycle management system.
That's 2010 level business speak right there, folks. That's classic.
This is a bullshit bingo winner if you have the right card.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I've been working on this software together with a bunch of people for something like 5 years right now. And it's still fun, and we keep doing that. And, as we try to do stuff that actually works in real life, and we are dealing with like 20 different platforms, that gives me plenty of material for bitching blog posts.
There you go. Especially in the virtualization domain, where nobody's business unit of any other vendor wants to take responsibility for any of the platforms.
Don't get me started. Oh, the last one, I still have to test that, so take it with a grain of salt, but it looks like on the Arista EOS container, the access control lists work for forwarded traffic, but not for the traffic sent to the device.
Great. Hey, who has control plane anyway, man?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you ever want to test the control plane protection with access control lists in real life? I mean,
who does that? Not to me, bro. And then just swoop the traffic away. That's
yeah.
So the caveat bingo, you actually showed a lot of beautiful slides, and there's going to be links in the show notes to the AutoCon talk that you gave, which was one of the most entertaining of that particular session. It was a lot of fun, especially because I share your difficulties with the multi-vendor adventure.
So that's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
You don't have enough fun, add EVPN to the mix.
Exactly. And especially in a training context over the years, whenever I've been doing training, junior level CCNA, learn to plug together the router stuff, you can't give them Netlab because they'll get too lazy, but it does the addressing for me. So when to introduce Uncle Netlab into the stack has always kind of been a question of mine. Like, is it a crutch for the absolute beginner? I would say, much like AI, avoid it, right? And then once you kind of know what you're trying to do, then Uncle Netlab shows up and does the heavy lifting.
Well, as you said, it really depends on where you are in your journey. So if you are just starting, then obviously you have to do the subnetting and the IP addressing and typing all the commands in, or writing the etsy network interfaces file or whatever it is. That's your poison, because you have to master that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, you have to be able to look at an IPv4 address and figure out what the subnet is and what the host bits are. And people are saying that, IPv4 is obsolete and so on, but so is COBOL.
Yeah, the day of IPv6 coming in 2 years. We've been updating that slide every 2 years. Great.
Oh, isn't this year the year of IPv6?
Every year they pull out the cell phone numbers from the carriers and they go like, look at the adoption rate, and we go, oh my God. I love Ripe. They're wonderful people. I'm glad they're pushing IPv6 because I'm not going to. But it's a one. I had my own. I had an AS. I just recently got rid of it. I had an autonomous system number. I had a LAIR, a located independent resource. Yeah, I did the whole shebang. Never freaking used it after I finished setting it all up. It was just too much of a hassle. It's not for the common man.
Yeah, that's for other people to do.
Yeah. Why configure 2 stacks when you can configure 1 stack, kids? Or deal with the bugs from
So
one.
just go for IPv6, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're brave, if you're really brave, free beta testing, everyone.
Yeah, we were if you go for IPv8.
Don't start us on these people.
So
We can also, we're not going to talk about the IPv4 reclamation people who want to, start allocating from the loopback ranges and that sort of thing. Not gonna.
Oh no, the most interesting people are the ones that say, oh no, we could use the 32 bits in the source field and 128 bits in the destination field and life will be fine.
There's some people just wake up and choose violence. That's just what they choose,
Well, let's just say that they never thought about the return traffic.
They never really thought about any traffic, in my opinion, but okay.
So anyway,
Well-
if you're a beginner, obviously even if you're a beginner, maybe you don't want to craft the Vagrant file by hand, or you don't want to craft the containerlab file by hand. So if you don't want to cheat, just disable all the addressing pools in Netlab and it will give you the pure physical, in double quotes because it's virtual, connectivity. It will set up the lab for you.
Exactly.
It's faster to write a YAML file if you know how to, click on the keyboard or ask a prompt AI than it is to chase the mouse around and connect the virtual cables to the virtual devices in a virtual lab GUI.
Exactly. So when it comes to, using Netlab, describing a general topology, I mean, most people have either their topology completely mapped out, like they have a reference design that they use, they have a core, they have an edge, some sort of WAN connectivity that they use in the lab. Most of the time I end up spinning up 2 or 3 versions of the same lab, just depending on what we're doing. When it comes to Netlab, though, it's all about, speed, being able to define any sort of topology that we want, be it hubs, all the way from hub spokes to full virtual Iceland routing network if you really want to. Be great.
Well, RAM is your limit.
And if you have lots of RAM, you're good to go.
Oh, it got better. Because one of the contributors, and this is coming in August release, just figured out how to split the load onto a bunch of servers. So you could have the whole rack of servers with, petabytes of RAM. It only works for containers, so there's the limitation there. But it automatically builds VXLAN tunnels between nodes that are on different servers or between Linux bridges on different servers for multi-access networks. So it's like mini Kubernetes without all the overhead of Kubernetes and the headache of running them.
Amen, brother. Amen. I mean,
And he also implemented the load balancing algorithm. So, you can specify that you have this lab and it automatically assigns nodes to different servers. We don't track the memory utilization yet, but we're open to PRs. So if anyone wants to add that, I'm all for it.
Hey, there you go. Now you're gonna have 50 club ups. Go ahead, Urs.
That sounds great, but did not ContainerLab announce something similar on their side, and they have Kubernetes?
Yeah, they have Kubernetes. That's what they have two things. One that I'm aware of. One is the ability to build the VXLAN tunnels automatically. So you just say this link in this topology is really a VXLAN link to somewhere. You specify the destination IP and the VNI. But you have to create the containerlab topologies for every host. And so on every host, you have the containerlab topology that has one half of the VXLAN tunnel. And Netlab is now creating both topologies.
Okay, nice.
And the other thing they have is Kubernetes, which is really deploying containers on a Kubernetes cluster. And then I don't know what they use for connectivity. Is it Kubernetes networks or something? Never looked into that. The problem with that thing is that, you have to have a running Kubernetes cluster first. And of course, the fans will tell you it's, really easy. You have this one software you download and you install it and it all runs in 5 minutes. And when it stops running, you format all the servers and you reinstall Ubuntu and then you install this and it runs in 5 minutes. The only question is how often you have to do that.
That's a good point. Now, moving on to the topic of today, which is, if I don't mention AI 36 times, we don't get any listeners.
You feel bad, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, that's how it works these days. We have to slot fest this thing. So, in general, when, we've all been messing around with config generation from ChatGPT or all these different LLMs for a very long time now. Between you and me, honest question. Do you hope, that he fails when you ask him something? Because my little CCIE brain in the back goes, please mess this up.
If I'm testing how well things work, then obviously I am in the, I wonder how it will mess up today mood. If I'm trying to solve something, then I am in the, I hope it will not mess up too bad today mood. And in the former case, I'm rarely disappointed. In the later one, it depends on what exactly you're trying to solve. And as you well know, if you're dealing with something that is well known and very popular and well documented with tons of correct documents out there, then you get good results back. And recently, probably for a year or two, it could even keep track of the IP addresses. One of the early experiments I did, and it was a few years back, was give me the router configs for a triangle network with Cisco routers running OSPF. One of the routers was missing one of the links. The interface IP addresses didn't match, while the subnets didn't match. It used the same subnet in multiple places,
Standards.
oh my God.
Yeah. Which is very
It got way better, but still, if I'm trying to do something, for example, I was trying to get EVPN running on Nokia SR OS. And I couldn't find how to do it because the documentation was like 3 pages long. I usually love Nokia documentation, but the SR OS EVPN documentation leaves something to be desired. So obviously I turned to ChatGPT and asked it how to configure that. And of course, it gives me a solution. The only problem is it didn't work.
Right.
So, I go in the usual cycle, like you tell the thing it doesn't work. Oh, absolutely, you're absolutely right. And this is why it doesn't work. You didn't know that before? And this is how it works. Of course, it didn't work.
Right.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. And by the way, you have to do it this other way. And you can see that it was going in circles because like on the fifth iteration of course, it doesn't work that way. It should work this way. We're back to square one.
Exactly. We see this a lot.
Turns out that the Nokia SR OS documentation has this very well hidden link called the design guides.
Oh,
And you click on that one once you find it, and it has a few EVPN documents, and they explain exactly what I was looking for.
so that,
So less AI, more smart search, please.
right. Of course, yeah. If we take these models for granted, they've gotten a little bit better, especially around the training data.
I mean, they much better.
Right. They just keep getting better. They keep dumping so much money into this stuff. You wouldn't believe. Like,
Well, but we are at the point where they stole everything that was to be stolen.
including your blog, every scrap of it. It's been
Of course. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I'm getting these weekly reports of how my websites are doing. And last week's report, most of the sites are doing reasonably well. People are accessing them via Chrome usually, and there's some other browsers, and then there's like 10% unknown. And then there's this one site that has like 1,500% increase in traffic in 1 week. And 80% or 90% of the visitors use the unknown browser.
right. Wonderful. Scrapey.
Yeah, AI discovered one of my sites, and it couldn't just scrape it and be done with it. It had to do it 150 times.
Yeah, that's shout out to they started to get third parties to do it for them, right? To keep the lawsuits away from them, right? So that's the trick. You buy the stolen good. You get someone to break into your house, and then you just buy the stolen goods from them. It's a lot more ethical.
Well, but that's like the backstory of every other Hollywood movie that deals with thieves, right?
Exactly.
Someone pays them to break into the house.
So if we're gonna pay,
I never knew it was about AI.
everything new is old and everything old is new. So if we get back to talking about just the standard hype cycle that we hear these days is all the programming stuff, like with Python, with all of these frameworks that the AI keeps doing really, really well, and the benchmarks are all set up for coding tasks, etc. And there's all these intelligence indexes and all that stuff. If we surmise that configs are just text, end quote, which is a false statement. What's the structural difference for our listener, between Python configuration that's super duper trained and super duper being worked on continuously and always has testing validation, that sort of thing, and the difference between that and generating config for a router? Let's not do EVPN.
Well, the first thing is the amount of information out there. You go searching for Python stuff, you get like 100 times more hits than if you search for entry-level Cisco stuff. And if you search for, I don't know, SR Linux stuff, it's 100 times less popular, just guessing, than Cisco iOS stuff because, everyone is writing about Cisco iOS because, a lot of people are studying for CCNA. So if you write about that stuff, you get visitors, you get ad money, like a coffee per month, which is, so worth your time. But we don't have enough information out there for AIs to do something useful in niche scenarios in one shot. Now, obviously, you could say, well, but I can spin up the network and I give the network to the AI and it can go, agents.
Gold.
Harness.
Memories.
I think one point for why configuration is probably complicated is we have a lot of configurations. They are very similar. Like I will not name names, but two vendors have very similar configurations. And in the past, we have iterations, and they are so similar, but they are not exactly the same. So it's hard to train this.
Also, there's usually only one way to do things with the configuration, whereas with Python, you can just weasel your way around and try stuff until it works. And to your point, a lot of vendors are using double quotes industry standard CLI, which is how you have to call it unless you want a vendor to sue you.
Shout out to
And you
Hotkey.
better don't copy their spelling errors, because then they will definitely sue you, as some 6-letter vendor discovered.
Shout out to Huawei. Anyway, yeah.
And you said that.
I love the Communist Party and all their fine products. Thank you very much. All right.
I just hope that you're using an open weight AI to edit this.
You just don't ask them about Taiwan, and it just works. Just don't. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, as Urs said, a lot of these things look very similar until they don't.
And trying to get speed into that, you're trying to generate 30, 40 nodes worth of, you have 30 routers, you have like, let's say 60 links, whatever. Trying to get an LLM to, break his teeth through all of it is a waste of token wasting exercise, right?
Most probably, well, it's like giving an LLM the task of sorting the 10-level towers of Hanoi stack. It just doesn't have the context depth
to keep online and finds the software to a junior CS software solution from 1998 that somebody posted, and then he uses that to solve the tower.
Oh no, it breaks into the organization that has the source
Docker
code for that.
Yeah. I just create a Docker container and I can run as root. Don't worry, I got this. Like which brings us like to one of, that's for standard large configurations, really useful to be able to auto-generate and have something that's valid. And not to mention Netlab as a tool for the AI to use. Very handy, no?
Oh, I might know the author of that tool. Who might that be?
No, we haven't promoted anything yet. We're still in testing. We just got off PTO, man. So the idea being, ladies and gentlemen, that instead of you grokking around on the CLI with Netlab, we either MCP that thing or we give it direct CLI access if you're feeling very ballsy, right? Like a long time ago, I just wanted to be able to sit in my hot tub and go to Slack, open up an AI bot and go, hey, can you rip off the configs from router X and Y in my production environment, create a simile and run it in the lab and test, OSPF options, blah, 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 blah. That was my dream, right? It's a beautiful dream, in my opinion. It's a silly dream.
It is.
Yeah.
There are just so many caveats about this dream.
Right?
Like, let's start with interface names.
Exactly. Usually the instruction would be create a facsimile. You're allowed to, if it's a point-to-point link, just copy the IPs, put them in the lab. You do you, fam, But for descriptions, that sort of thing, just copy them. See what happens.
Yeah, and control plane probably works. Data plane is a lottery.
Yeah, 50-50. Yes or no?
Well,
not so bad.
That's a good chance on the lottery.
Yeah. Everything is 50-50. It either works or it doesn't. Have a nice day.
That's how 50-50 is defined.
I'm telling you, man, the math, they try to fool you with math on this thing. But, we see this especially, of course, where Netlab falls apart is the advanced stuff, right? The ACLs, which is a godforsaken nightmare, right?
Oh, they're coming in August release.
This is the part where we joke, a year from now, it's going to be like, yeah, August 2020, Q5 of 2027.
I'm pushing this out probably before you push out the podcast.
Perfect. You don't know how sloppy and fast I edit, man. So, okay, ACLs. I mean, if we just dig into that for a little bit, because, my grandma can create from Jinja templates a basic routing generator that kind of sort of works, right? But ACLs, man, we got your multi-vendor ACL meta languages. Like, this is the stuff that was sold for $1 million in the past 10 years. Your IP fabrics, your all these, the ones that suck up all your config data and do all the show commands for you, and then they create a meta model, a little, like a virtualization, and then they generate and both push in, push out ACLs and that sort of thing. There's a project from Google, if I remember that. Like, there's a couple of open source ones that deal with.
Yeah, what's that thing from Google called?
Airsoul, I think.
You guys fill up the time. I'll go find it. Tell us what are the challenges with ACLs, multi-vendor ACLs? It sounds like a hellscape to me.
It is. So, to be honest, we only, for this version, the guy who implemented that, and I couldn't be bothered to add more platforms, neither could anyone else. He implemented this for Cisco iOS and the Arista EOS. And it can match on source and destination prefixes,
Okay.
on protocols, and on port numbers. And because we have the full addressing info, it can match, for example, on nodes, which would expand into the IP addresses of the node, stuff like that.
Okay, so let's just step back for a second.
So, I was looking at the Cisco iOS ACL syntax when checking some of these things, and we probably support like 20% of the parameters.
Right. You don't want to go into parameter hellhole, because then you're playing per vendor, per device, like this release of iOS CSR 1000 are sitting in a room, and you get this flag. It's available in config, but it doesn't work. Have a nice day, everyone.
Like the log option on Arista EOS. Container.
On container.
Yes.
They sell functional software. Arista, please don't take the sponsorship money. They don't sponsor. Every vendor has some skeletons in the closet. I think that's the big statement for everything.
Yeah.
But let's just say, what are the main components, right? We got our standard, let's say it's just standard ACL, right? Just source. If we're just trying to match source on good old standard ACL, any destination, we treat it as any destination, any source. So we match our 192.168.1.1/24. We match it as a 32 if we want to do a per host thingy. There's going to be a couple of flags, the logging flag, etc. And there's a lot of flags, even,
we just went for logging and established.
Perfect. Because, just the numbering sequences on some platforms,
we are resequencing as we are generating the access control lists.
Of course. Why deal with it?
Because the problem, what you can do is you can say, I want to allow traffic from this node, and this node has 5 addresses, to that node, and that node has 3 addresses. This effectively becomes, in most cases, 15 entries because of Cartesian product. And if they both have IPv4 and IPv6 addresses, then obviously it generates 2 access control lists. And if some nodes have IPv4 only and IPv6 only and dual stack interfaces, then the number of entries will be different in IPv4 and IPv6 access control lists. So there is absolutely no way that you could, keep the original sequence numbers unless you start numbering at 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever. So, and then there is the remark command, which on some platforms is just a comment, and on some platforms requires a sequence number. Yeah. And then we decided to implement, because both platforms support in,
Mm-hmm.
source or destination port is in a range of ports.
Mm-hmm.
During the development, someone got a great idea. Why don't we also do not in? Which has to be mapped into, permit or deny less than beginning, and next entry permit or deny greater than end. So
August, you say? Huh?
yet again, no, it's in dev branch. You can look at it. You can play with it.
I believe you. It's just we're gonna every time we hit another layer in that stack, there's like we 2x the problem, we 2x the problem, we 2x the problem.
Exactly. So that's why we are regenerating the device access control list that may or may not resemble what you put in lab topology, but usually filters the traffic that you want to have filtered.
Jesus Christ, dude!
Let's put it this way: filters the traffic in the way you described your intent. Whether that's what you wanted to do is a totally different story.
And the goal here is just routing level, layer 3, good old boy access list. Like, as soon as we start talking about the firewall nonsense, we had even some of the routing platforms have object definitions that are really hairy sometimes because they want to use, here's an object group and you're going to do blah, 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 blah.
That would be actually really, whenever we have in our access control list something that is a list, that would be immediately convertible into an object group. Now I have like a 6-level for loop.
For loop? You got an LLM running just to, program the damn for loop. We have had some real nice successes, to be honest. I'll tell you about something that happened in prod. I was just messing around with some ACL configs. We were stripping out some old control plane stuff, ripping out some old networks, and they'd formatted it differently in a couple of places. Old Uncle Claude Opus 4.8 did a damn good job of identifying, he started a bunch of agents, he took each router. This is the expected ACL of our current management network. This is the ones that you see here. And again, no prompting from me. This was just like YOLO swag, dude, spend all the tokens, good luck. He came back with a beautiful breakdown of like 3 questions like, hey, they split this network /24 into 2/25s here. It's missing on this one. It's not missing on this one. Created a little CSV file, which mistakes happened on which routers. This is from our very legacy network. This is all gone. But, this stuff happens in production all the time, especially if you have engineered humans during configs. That's just what happens. This device gets updated. This device does not get updated, that sort of thing. Uncle Claude did a really good job because he was in a really small context window, working independently without holding up the big picture every single time. It was beautiful. Like, I was really happy with it. I had to read over the entire thing, of course, and then he made like one mistake. But other than that, I was like, everything that was validatable by him, good job, little Claudie, Anthropic. ChatGPT did the same test, same good result. It just seems like the smaller we keep the context window, the better time we're going to have.
Yeah, it looks to me that they're really good at checking stuff.
Finding bullshit.
I got to the point where, sometimes I just do a small change and then I don't want to wait for anyone else to look at it. So I do a YOLO merge. And I got to the point where I feel anxious if GitHub Copilot didn't look at the PR before I merge it.
There you go.
Because it finds stuff. And it finds stuff across modules that I wouldn't even think about looking at.
Exactly.
So for checking things, awesome.
Really good.
When it proposes how it would fix something,
Back and forth. We have a little conversation, maybe a little chat.
Yeah, I don't have time for conversations.
I've started.
I just look at it and I fix stuff. The problem is that the code it generates is technically correct, It also deals with all the edge cases that can never happen. And I know that they cannot happen because I understand the whole system. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get like 3 or 5 times too much unreadable code
Mm-hmm.
where, a simple fix would be all we need to fix the real problem it identified. And it proposes this lengthy verbose thingy that only LLM will understand a year from now.
But that's kind of it. But then again, just to be the contrarian, quality and readability is a price point, right? And as we know, 99% of code gets thrown away, right? So I've been a lot more free when it comes to generating, especially for custom jobs and that sort of thing, at customer sites when we got to do, one-off jobs that I'm in the camp that tests in the lab.
How many of your one-off scripts were only used once?
99%.
You're amazing.
All the scripts are
Usually what happens is that you go, oh, by the way, we did something like this at that customer, so let's take that script and just twiddle it a bit and we're done.
So I actually had to pull out one of these old scripts. This one was it was for 1,000 routers in a municipality, and we had to update the ACLs, both the VTY configs of a bunch of Cisco routers, and we had to implement AAA, right? It was 12 different types of OS. So it's Cisco iOS 12.3, some 12. Whatever, 15, 16 XE, some XR.
12.3.
Yeah.
Is that 1 year 2K compliant?
It was EOL before it was installed, dude. Like it was on the chopping block for 1,000 years, but somebody never got around to it. Again, contractor. That's what you see some stuff, right? So it's a big Ansible that's just designed to handle, number one, what router am I? What OS am I on? And is it one of the ones that I've been tested on? Number two, if I've been tested on it, which abomination of the current configuration can I do and implement either config archive for, if you want to do rollback? That was the big job. If you just want to push config, you just push config, YOLO, right? But using the config archive option to have it roll back successfully if we were to lose connectivity and,
Oh, did you say Cisco iOS rollback and successfully in the same sentence?
again, a lot of labbing happened with that. And we only had to test it
You're a
twice.
brave person.
Yeah. It worked. The 2 times I needed it to work where something didn't work out and the ICE configuration didn't take or something like that. The 2 times, the Cisco engineers of 2004, good job, team. Just retirement home or wherever they shot. I think they're in a ditch somewhere and they've been shot, but it worked. So, that's kind of the value proposition goal for AI code or any script is, did you get the job done? And is the customer happy? And did the money move from the customer's pocket to your pocket and the company's pocket? If yes, great job, everyone. Don't obsess over it. Don't whip yourself to death thinking you're going to chase some ultimate programming high, right? It's kind of what I had to work with recently.
Well, I couldn't agree more.
Success.
And I had programmers working for me that I would gladly replace with AI and get better results.
Including myself sometimes. Oh, God. That our worst enemy is ourselves 15 to 24 months ago, where it's like, wait a minute. Oh, no, I know what you were trying to do. This was me. The bastard was me.
Which idiot wrote that code?
And then you see your name.
Yeah. And you're going to get blame and like,
oh,
oh shit.
How can I frame someone else for this? Oh, shit.
Exactly.
That's the skill. That's exactly. It was pushed by God.
You know what is the worst part of being the guy that started an open source project? Which idiot merged that thing? Has only one concept.
Wait, 3 a.m. Oh, no. What was that? That was at the bar. But, speaking of Netlab contributions and trying to, get some quality going on, and especially, as you say, you're working on the ACL stuff, you have some contributors, You're, I assume, heavily leaning into AI when it comes to the review process, which is wonderful. And I assume also for certain, like, one-offs and that sort of. You see, you're not gone full YOLO, like make me a thing that does X, Y, Z. I'll be back in 24 hours and will not be able to say yes or no. Good luck. And then walks away. See, Ivan is a reasonable person. He's not gone full Silicon Valley, tech bro, but
Okay, let me just say that I'm old as well. And I've seen the same approach like 20 different times with different technologies. Are you old enough to remember the ZX Spectrum?
I have seen one. I saw one at the library when I was 5. Yes.
Okay. When they came out, a pilot working for a regional airline had the bright idea that he will solve the crew scheduling problem, which is NP
very
hard,
hard.
not
NP
even
hard.
NP complete,
That's the first
on
feature you said.
ZX Spectrum.
I'm gonna make a linear solver on aesthetic spectrum. Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen people who today we call them vibe coders. In the past, we called them something else.
Sometimes it works, and I'm so happy when they work and they're not in a dangerous environment. And when it's when there's no chips on the table and nobody, it's not grandma's it's not your grandmother's ventilator connected at the hospital that's being tested on. When it's in the lab, I'm like, God bless you, people, have fun. Burn up those tokens.
Just don't put this in the cloud because the bill will eventually arrive.
Or you just tell Claude, hey, refactor this in Rust, and then you hope to get a 20% savings on nothing. Like it's all disk and network bound anyway. So, for our network engineering listeners that might have heard a few naughty words there, like linear resolver or linear resolvers and that sort of thing, we apologize. Let's bring it back. We'll bring it back to our safe realm of network automation. The ACL problem, again, very, very hard because of the multi-vendor nature, and it is kind of a drive the car, hit the wall, drive the car, fix something, drive the car, hit the wall, add vendor, and then you're going to have vendor conflicts eventually. Like we saw this with Abstra, and we saw this with a lot of these platforms that have to do multi-vendor abstraction. So even if you start, like Uncle Russ White's going to come walking out like leaky abstractions are everywhere, and as soon as you start abstracting away, you're going to have to deal with all the edge cases of all the vendors in between. My worst example of this is the VRF naming inside of Juniper Abstract, which is a wonderful product and I love it, but they're limited to 15 characters because that's what Nokia OS is limited to. So the worst common denominator of all the vendors is what they have to support in each single instance, which was like a really bummy way to find out that you're going to take the worst from vendors you don't even use when you're using an abstracted platform, right? When you have the ACL problem,
was you know what we did? We somehow settled on 16 character identifiers for whatever reason that looked like a good idea, and someone wanted more. So I just turned that constant into a variable that you can set.
and if it crashes, it crashes. Good luck, everyone.
Well, if you push your luck and you change the system defaults and you get weird behavior.
That was the use case that Claude was trying to warn you about, and you deleted because you said it wouldn't happen. I swear to God, that's what happened.
We do try to, whenever something bites us like this, we call these device quirks. So, the whole architecture is fully modular and everything is loadable as Python modules. And well, thank God for interpretive languages because you can just load any shit you want from anywhere you want. And then you wonder why you have security problems, but that's a different story. Let's move on. Anyway, every device has a corresponding Python module that gets called when the transformation is done, and then that module has the final say. Will this work on this device or not? And there we do all sorts of crazy stuff, like we're doing with Juniper interface naming, and Juniper cannot have more than one loopback unless it can have more than one loopback. And oh yeah, it's one per VRF per routing instance, but not more. And sometimes we can, deal with IP addresses and pretend it's multiple interfaces, and sometimes not. For Nokia SR OS is like, oh gee, this guy really doesn't like to have anything but /128 on the system loopback, but /64 on other loopbacks is okay. And for Cisco IS, for example, is, oh yeah, VLAN 1 really cannot be tagged, but so tons of code that identifies what does not work on a particular device. And when someone will come along saying, well, the 18-character VRF names don't work on Nokia SR OS, we'll just add a device quirk that will check whether the VRF name on a device is more than 18 character long, if it happens to be Nokia SR OS.
So
The best one, sorry, Urs, go on.
So that means what you have or what you're sitting on is actually a huge collection of verified configurations and all the edge cases. And the more people that are using it, the better it is tested, right?
Yes. The last one,
The best one.
the guys writing Extreme OS. Remember Extreme?
Yeah, I remember.
That company with market share that's so small that IDC and Gartner can't measure it.
I mean, God bless them.
I have no idea what their market share is, but they have like 3 different operating systems, and someone thought it was a good idea to add one of them to Netlab. And so now we have EXOS in Netlab. A PR just landed in my inbox yesterday, where one of the contributors figured out that, like you can't configure VLAN default on some devices. On EXOS, it is a list of like 400 keywords that you can't use as VLAN names.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's 20 or something lines of Python code. It's in their documentation, so he didn't do this the hard way. They have a pages long table of things you can't use as VLAN names. And he just copy pasted that and hopefully wrote a script that transformed that into Python code and submitted that PR. And so now we check whether you are trying to use the VLAN fabric or the VLAN AAA, because EXOS doesn't like that.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, those guys really should have read like the Parsers for Dummies book before writing their code, but well, it is what it is.
Great job, everyone. That's, hey, I'm going to tokenize my code. And oh, no, this is my special keyword. That's rough. That's really, I mean, those shout out, limitations on platforms. We got to shout out Nexus. I mean, having reserved VLAN ranges that only they can use for,
Oh, that is, don't start me on that one. You see, the problem is that all layer 3 switches are really just bridges in disguise. They're bridges with routers attached to them, like, the good old, what was it? The Catalyst 5000 with NetFlow switching and the router attached on top of that. Same architecture, only now it's in an ASIC. And whenever you have a layer 3 interface on a layer 3 switch, it really turns that into a hidden VLAN and a router attached to a hidden VLAN. So every layer 3 interface needs a VLAN. Now, where do you get those VLANs? Some platforms have reserved ranges. And, they figure out how many interfaces they might have in the box, and then they take some weird range and they reserve it. Others try to be smarter. Like Arista looks at what VLAN is not used and uses that.
Fair enough.
which is great. Unless you want to use that VLAN later on by yourself. In which case, the easiest thing would be to say, oops, I took your VLAN, sorry, dude, and renumber the VLAN on the layer 3 interface, because who cares? It's, just an internal number. No one ever sees that. Well, they don't do that. They don't allow you to configure your VLANs. So for Arista, we had to go into an extra step in the initialization process, because you cannot just declare all interfaces to be layer 3 interfaces, because then it will grab some VLANs around 1000 that you want to use. So first you have to define the VLANs so that it knows which VLANs not to use, and then you turn the layer 2 interfaces into the switch ports into layer 3 interfaces, and then it takes the VLANs that you didn't use.
We're paying money for this technology? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, they want to charge us for that. But, this is still better than having some weird reserved range like
3,968.
layer 2 images that still have VLAN 1006 or something reserved for FDDI translational bridging.
1001, 1002, 1003.
I think it's between 3 and 6, and one is token ring translational bridging, and the other one is FDDI translational bridging, and I have no idea what the other two are.
I'm pretty, they carried it over to XE. Like it's, you got to be backwards compatible, which
with a technology that we haven't seen in this millennium.
Except for this one customer with $1 trillion.
Yes, exactly.
Which is usually the case. So I did some Googling. The ACL problem, we're always coming back to that one again. You're going to be facing that for, the ACL problem is a great placeholder for all the big problems, which is the QoS problem, which is heavily related.
QoS. No.
Very smart. Very smart.
ACL is, it's containable.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, okay, I have the source addresses, I have the destination addresses. You can say, I will not fiddle with weird don't care bits.
Mm-hmm.
I will just use the subnet masks as the don't care, so invert subnet masks as the don't care bits. I will only use source and destination ports, and only for TCP and UDP, and I will not support the gazillion ICMPv4 keywords and 10 gazillions of IPv6 ICMP keywords.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing is containable.
Mm-hmm.
QoS is not.
It's a lie.
Well, let's also say that I wouldn't expect QoS to work on many virtual platforms.
That's a long shot bet. Yeah, the bet. Let's check Polymarket and get some results on that one, because I think you're going to win a lot of crypto if you bet smart on that one. I'm just thinking of other projects that have faced similar issues, which is stuff like Batfish when they're doing their ACL conversion to their meta model. They convert to actually, yeah. So like there is code out there with good licensing that could be harvested for some of this problem. Like the closed source solution ones usually are the best, but they're also full of bugs once you buy them, which do the conversion.
Not before, right? Presentations work great.
Presentation works great. I do love IP Fabric and Forward Networks. They're great. They're really cool. And what was the name of the 2000s company that's like 20 years old? NetBrain, right?
There is NetBrain, yeah.
Yeah. So they've been doing this stuff, and they have a code, like their code base is, I believe, is 1,000 years old, which is great. And God bless them, whoever wants to do that stuff. IP Fabric, a little bit more cooler, a little bit more newer, they got some stuff going on. They're nice guys from Prague. What do you want? And the Americans are the Forward Networks people. And there's a couple other solutions where they do this conversion, right? But to my mind, like Batfish and it's Capirca from Google, that's the generator one. But there's an active project for the ACL management thing is Aerleon. It's like 256 GitHub stars, so I'm not going to add a GitHub star to that repo to break the power of 2. There are projects that could be maybe lift and shifted some of their logic or lessons. In theory, maybe? Or...
In theory, you're absolutely correct. In practice, however,
Oh, no.
we are solving a different problem than Batfish, for example, because they have to deal with what out there, what Batfish, forward networks, I don't know what IP Fabric is doing.
Same thing.
So those two have to deal with the existing deployed stuff and trying to reverse engineer and figure out how it works. We're not there. We want to give people some simple filters so that primarily so that they could deploy the same stuff on multiple devices. Because, Netlab had the custom config templates forever. So if you wanted to add access control lists, you could add them whenever, 5 years ago. The problem is that you have to create those templates for every device you want to work with. And if you're a Cisco shop and you are only working with Cisco iOS and you don't care about 12.3 release and the keyword changes between 12.3 and whatever it is today, 16 something, 17 something, then life is good and you write that template and you're done and you move on. If you are like a trainer and you want to give people, or you want to run the same, let's say, BGP course on Cisco devices today because your customer is a Cisco shop, and on Arista devices tomorrow because your customer is an Arista shop, and Juniper the next day, you can, for the BGP stuff, do that with Netlab for the last 5 years. And we are adding stuff that makes no sense encoded in YAML, like access control lists or static routes or prefixes or route maps. All these things, encoding them in YAML is the worst possible thing you can do. Plus you explode the code base, plus you have more stuff to test, plus you have all the templates that you have to maintain. But it allows someone who has to present the same stuff running on multiple platforms a way to abstract the problem if his problem is reasonably simple. And that's the only reason why we are doing stuff like that. So, for example, when I was doing the BGP labs, I wanted to have this small self-contained thingies where you could just, it's like you go to the gym and you want to work on this one particular muscle today. And then they give you this very special exercise where you pull this thingy in just the right way and only that muscle works. I wanted to have that for BGP. So this is how local preference works. And I have a lab for you where the only thing you have to do is first realize what problem you have, and then figure out how to solve that problem with local preference. And we help you, with the high level idea. And then you have to figure out how to configure that, and we give you the verification steps. Now, to make that work, obviously, you need all the other routers in the lab that will give you the BGP routes or accept them or what have you. And sometimes those other routers have to do stuff. Like they might set local preference so that you have to fight with it. Like they might be the provider that always sets the local preference on the customer routes, and so the customer cannot use the backup link unless they use the conditional route advertising or what have you.
Mhm.
Or they split the prefix into 2 and pollute the whole internet, but YOLO. Anyway, so you need the mechanisms to configure stuff like that. And initially I said, well, you can do that if these other routers are FRR or Arista.
Mhm.
Because they're easy to start and, I can easily write those configs and you have them and that's it.
Mhm.
Some people are not comfortable working with FRR because you connect to the box and then you have to type VTY shell. Huh. Shocker.
What is this bash? Who put bash on?
Yeah, exactly. And you do show running / include BGP and it says, what?
That is a really good point. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
10 years ago, I was really scared of FRR, or and ages ago, I was really terrified of Cumulus, FRR, those things.
Yeah.
Because it's a Linux box.
Exactly. And so now that we have all these constructs where you can, in Netlab topology, define the routing policy and the prefix list, and you can set all these attributes,
Mhm.
now I can use whatever the customer wishes for the external routers.
Mhm.
If they want to run a Junos-only network because they know how to look at BGP tables on Junos, let them run Junos.
Amen. But
If they want to do that with VIOS, they can use VIOS. Whatever.
if they want to route on a firewall, don't talk to those people. Get away from them immediately. But yeah.
That's a different story. And but I think we do have some BGP on Fortinet.
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the contributors is really, working on Fortinet stuff, and he's doing a great job and adding Fortinet features. Because I'm not touching that thing.
Shout out to Papa Fortinet. Love you guys. It's, Cisco should have bought you instead of what they bought back in the day. Anyway, I've had routing problems on 40 in previous releases, and I wanted to jump out of a window. But, they're really good at cheapest bang for your box, routing box you can get on the market. Good job. That's not from China. That is from China. Well, they're doing well. They have good market share. God bless them. And we respect market share because we read Gartner. So
this is a Gartner sponsored podcast, right?
Yeah, I wish. No, I have to pay them money. That's how that works. That's usually how that works. So this always kind of comes back to training data, because usually the training data that, let's say that I started myself a little. We're gonna start a company. We're gonna start a virtual company that's gonna collect all the routing information on the internet by scraping your blog and a few other good sources on the internet. We're gonna try and compile a corpus of information to train an AI on. That is a really bad, dumb idea if you want to get successful routing, right? Because you're going to either be dumping in Cisco forum posts from people who don't know what they're doing and answers that are sometimes worse, sometimes great, sometimes terrible, right?
Works every time, 60% of the time.
50-50, 50-50. Yes, but 60% it works every time. If you do all that, we kind of always come back down to the fact that these are routing protocols. These are, there are certain, I don't want to use the word best practices, but sensible defaults. If Uncle Claude, if you're going to try and, steer traffic, grab local preference first before you start messing with other stuff, or go look at another router in the network and see how they did it before you start reinventing the wheel. And, yes, it's a Cisco box. Don't use the wait option. I know it's at the top of the list, but don't use it. Jesus Christ. Nobody uses it except for testing. So you just use it in the lab, man. You just use it in the lab. And then
no, okay, let's point something out for those two people that haven't heard it yet. As a CCIE, you will often be in customer networks where you have to fix 20 years of crap that the customer designed because they thought they understood what the vendor is saying and they did not. And now they painted themselves in the corner, and your company sent you because you're the magical CCIE and you have to do the job, and you can't touch anything, and you have only one command to use.
Good luck, buddy.
And that's why we have all those crazy scenarios in the CCIE labs, because this is what you will encounter in real life.
And boy, how do we? But then again, the most important thing you learn is just say no. You just have to start saying no. That's been a problem with networking for the last 100 years. We did not say no to a lot of stuff.
A customer story, real customer story.
Mm.
So the customer wanted to do crazy stuff on one router. And our CCIE got this beautiful design where he would use VRFs on the router, and the VRFs would be connected back to back or something, and there would be NAT involved. Yeah, whatever. So I was looking at that, and I was like, no. You split this into 3 boxes, and each box does one thing, and you will have 3 simple configurations, and it will be easy to maintain, easy to configure, easy to understand, and it will work. Because if you do it your way, you'll hit so many dependencies that no one ever tested that, you'll be on the phone with tech or email, whatever it is today.
Free alpha testing. Boy, oh boy.
And he's like, but the customer, they will never go for this. Go to the customer, tell them that this is what needs to be done, and you will not do this other thing. And he was like, you sure? I'm like, do it. Somehow the sales guy bought into that. They went to the customer. They came back and they said, the customer's manager said, thank you.
There you go. Triple the license.
Now we know what needs to be done. Thanks for being honest with us.
Sometimes you just need to buy more licenses. That's just how it is.
Well, no, it was the only way forward.
There you go.
Anything else would be, just prolonging the pain. But no one had the guts to say that.
We used to say, yes, I can solve this problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy, I've seen this in a lab somewhere. Let me try it.
No. But
there's a book people should read, The Power of Positive No.
I thought you were going to whip out how to make friends and influence people. Just put on your Dale Carnegie hat, keep saying their name and shaking their hand firmly, and just get them to buy the damn boxes. That also works.
If you're in sales, not if you're in post-sale support.
Aren't we all in sales? Jesus Christ. In this day and age. Oh, God. But yeah, again, to our main topic, just to round things out.
Access control lists?
This is the ACL podcast. I love it. And it's the stand-in for all the problems. Again, and if you keep trickling in stuff and, we test, validate, we circle back, test, validate. I'm just wondering, the training data that the LLM is going to use is always going to suck in comparison to what comes out of a rigorously tested system. I mean, it's the difference between saying, what is 2 + 2, and then looking in, all the words on the internet and seeing what came after 2 + 2. Oh, 4, 90% of the time, 4. Versus having the LLM run an actual calculator.
You're probably right. This is exactly what I wanted to ask you at the beginning of this episode. When you said it's episode 11, is it in binary or is it in decimal or hex?
It's
octal.
Yeah, we do oct. No. We do. We have 10. God gave us 10 fingers, and we don't use the devil numbers. That's anyone who gets a binary tattoo. I'm defriending you immediately. That's just no. That's just a no. But with all of this information, and again, Netlab, it's the calculator. It's the calculator. You want a calculated answer. You don't want a magical la situation. But we have seen that, in a lambing scenario especially, and if you have enough tokens, you can set, these goals or whatever, where you can he'll try, he'll fail, he'll try, he'll hit a loop, he'll back off from the loop, maybe he'll clear his context, maybe he will win, maybe he won't. But Netlab, you're going to get what you're going to get. And the peering will come up. Enjoy. That's kind of where I get excited about, pairing the two, where you could just have because getting started with Netlab, it takes a little bit. But if you just
Yeah, the learning curve is whatever the learning curve
it
is.
is. But if you have the AI do it for you, and the learning curve was a lot easier because you were able to avoid these options, you're able to do these options.
Yeah, I would love to have that. I tried a number of times, just for fun, asking primarily ChatGPT to give me a Netlab topology. And obviously there's not. Oh, I even included sources. So go there, do that, read that. In the end, after a few iterations, we got a working topology, sort of, that was far from optimal. So if someone would figure out how to use some simple AI in front of Netlab documentation to build, topologies based on what the documentation says and the examples, not guessing, that would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful. Or, at least feed the damn thing instructions that are clear, skill files, what have you, that, keep it from going off the rails, as it were.
Okay, if you are a new Netlab user, how do you get the skills to write the skills file?
You ask Claude, is there a skill file for this program? And then he goes and finds it for you on the marketplace. This is Silicon Valley right now. Like you first thing you do when you do anything, you go find a skill file for it. InfraHub, are you moving from NetBox to InfraHub? You go get the InfraHub skill set. You're moving from something to something. If you're getting NetBox, you go get the NetBox skill set. Every single time. It's a little crazy, but it works some of the time, half the time, most of the time, some of the time.
I think
60% of the time, if it works every time.
Exactly.
it definitely can help, right? But at some point, at least for me, I'm getting frustrated and I'm just much easier to fix it by myself. Like, I tried the MCP for Netlab, right? And I was quite surprised. I told him I want to have 3 configurations from Leafspine, 2 different vendors. And yeah, it worked out. I did not go very deep into the configuration now, of course, but at some point, if I'm debugging with AI, Python or YAML stuff, I cannot prompt again, this is wrong, please do it like this. I will grab my mouse, I will fix it in 2 seconds, and I'm happy.
See, I'm in the hot tub and I'm perfectly happy yelling at I have an architect running on top, right? That he's the orchestrator. And then I just yell at him to go yell at the bot for me. That's the big context window, and then you have him run the little context windows that you run on separate subscriptions, and that way you don't burn out all your tokens. And then we're cooking with gas.
You know what this reminds me of? There is this project where you can boot original Unix on PDP-11, emulate it in JavaScript in your browser.
There you go.
Is this the best way to use the CPU cycles? I don't know.
I mean, WebAssembly can do amazing things, as we've seen. The security concerns be damned, but I like playing with Macintosh in my browser. It's very interesting. But is it a great use? No. Would I charge for it? No. But it's fun.
Oh, it's fun, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm missing, I think it's somewhere out there. I just had never tried to get it. So we have the PDP-11 emulator in JavaScript somewhere. If only I would get the RSX11M operating system.
Well, I mean, if you have the thing is, it's just a question of RAM, right? We can just
No, those things had 256K of RAM. We will be able to emulate 256K of RAM in 64 gig, right?
Yeah, somewhere around that. It'll be a little bloaty, but the plugins will work. Damn it.
Yeah, but imagine every byte is a JavaScript object.
Jesus Christ, dude. No, stop it. No. Oh God. Now, we're not bringing JavaScript into this. The problems of JavaScript to the network automation forum or the network automation board. We're not gonna cross this boundary. Okay, there's a line, and we need to respect it. We're gonna stay on the networking side. Now,
so AI is okay, but JavaScript is not?
now that JavaScript is a wonderful language, and I enjoy using JavaScript applications. Thank you. I don't want Oracle coming after me, or whoever.
That would be
owns the
Java.
Yeah, I don't know who owns the copyright for JavaScript these days, man. Like Uncle Java. Hell, every time I have to get a Java install and talk to the Oracle rep,
I just move on. Anything that wants to install Java in 2024, I just move on.
Hey, the Cisco ASA, GUI man in the chair. Still, I think it's still on it, man. Like it's ride or die, and now it's a module inside of a firepower, so I think it's gonna live forever, man. Like
But you can run it in a Docker container, right?
I assume I avoid this problem, man. Like I'd avoid the ASAs. Love those boxes though. Let's see, Urs. Topic wise, is there anything we forgot to discuss with our esteemed guest that our listeners would benefit from?
I think one thing we probably should do is point out that the tool is amazing. I wish that I would have had it 10 years ago when I had to build a lot of troubleshooting labs. I tried it once for troubleshooting lab, and the hardest part actually was breaking things, because you have to overwrite stuff, because out of the box it just does everything that it works. Another point, you have two different web pages, right? Where people can find labs based on Netlab. Is that correct? Like BGP labs and ISIS labs, or how was this?
Okay. So there is the tool
Mhm.
that has its own documentation
Mhm.
and a GitHub repo.
Mm.
Then there are the examples. So whenever we do something interesting, it goes in the examples repo, and people have contributed their stuff in there so that others can see how things work. Then I wrote a lot about, the how to do stuff on my blog. So there are like 150 blog posts going into tips and tricks, and this is how you do stuff and whatnot. And then I used it to create 3, as I said before, gyms, technology gyms, where you can practice BGP and ISIS and EVPN with VXLAN. And for those 3, obviously, if you want to see how things are done behind the scenes, it's all on GitHub, so you can just look at that. And the beauty of those is that if you're okay with a container, which means FRR or SR Linux or BIOS or Arista, you can do that for free in a GitHub code space.
Nice.
You just start thing and it works, and then you play around and you can explore whatever, because it's all open source, it's all on GitHub. But those 3 things are more like, the applications that use this platform because it's so damn convenient to start stuff with the lab topology.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Which is beautiful. Did we sell Netlab clearly enough in this episode? I mean, like the validation features are really nice. The config generation part of it. I'm just going over my notes.
Multi-vendor integration
again,
was normally a pain.
That's
Otherwise, that forums
20 freaking platforms, and you have this wonderful grid or the matrix that shows the compatibility matrix. That's a wonderful thing. We're gonna have that in the show notes.
And right now we are slowly migrating that to be auto-generated, because it was all done manually, and someone finally said, dude, why are you doing this manually?
CI/CD time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so right now I already have these things directive that creates the feature table. I just have to migrate stuff into that eventually. And some things are, just documented that they don't work, but we don't have a feature flag saying that. We just know that it doesn't work and it fails the integration test. But so we update the feature table manually, but the corresponding YAML definition is not there. So there will be a lot of cleanup to go through. But eventually, everything will be auto-generated.
Ta-da! Yes. Oh God, the
Like,
ACL.
would you believe that there are still vendors in 2024 that can't do multi-topology ISIS for IPv6?
Name names. Jesus.
You look at the support and you find them.
Beautiful. So that to me is like the multi-vendor aspect. That is the crux and key aspect of this thing. Otherwise, it would just be another single vendor, generator, mumble bumble. The super valuable part is the interoperability problem that is being addressed through blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes. Lots of those.
Lots of those. And again,
Plus swearing. That's lots of swearing.
lots of swearing. I mean, rated, got to be 18 plus to submit an issue because there will be some comments. Urs,
We
I
try
forget-
to be polite in public and we try not to bash the vendors too hard in public, but listening to me figuring things out, that would be R-rated.
Oh dear. Well, we're rated R, so it should be fine. Let's see here. Call to action. So I would, what do we want to do the takeaway? That would probably be give Netlab a try if you need help and you don't want to invest the time, I've tested it out with Uncle Claude on 4.8 and he did a pretty damn good job of getting it set up, locally. So if you don't want to deal with setting it up and getting started, you can either use the GitLab option, you can have Uncle Claude help, the AI help you set it up. Go lab a little bit because it's a tool that you're going to want to know how to use before you actually need it in an emergency, which can happen.
The easiest way to start is you just go to the Netlab. Oh, I have to check whether I have that button up there.
Oh.
So there is really easy way to add Netlab container to any repo. I don't think that's documented. We need to document that. So you just copy some files over and then you can start any repo in a GitHub code space with Netlab container. So you get everything pre-installed. Then you're playing for free and Uncle Microsoft is paying your explorations.
When they can keep it up. Yeah.
It works every time, 60% of the time. Like today, I submitted a PR and all the tests. I thought all the tests passed because I didn't get any email. And then 2 hours later, I get an email because we are doing tests for various Python versions. Usually it takes 5 minutes to run through all the tests and 3 versions passed in those 5 minutes and 1 failed after 1 hour and 46 minutes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think yesterday was also a huge action outage again, but yeah,
Yep.
fun times.
They're not having a good time after they, yeah. We don't need to talk
I've
about-
heard that effectively they're struggling with the onslaught of AI slop.
Yeah, I mean,
So many people are vibe coding so that the traffic has increased by orders of magnitude and because, everyone is using actions for everything, the whole thing is just melting down.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
the migration to the Azure infrastructure didn't go really well. They've had a lot of problems.
Oh no, really? Who would have ever expected that? Yeah.
I love my
I migrate to Azure and you have problems? That's something new.
lift and shift just works. It's an amazing product. Everyone should lift and shift immediately to Azure. Please enjoy. Yes.
Urs, have you been at my Azure workshop in Switzerland when I was running it together with some data center thingy?
No, I don't think so. I was only in your SDN and
Yeah.
EXOS thingy.
So I was crazy enough to run hands-on stuff, and I had everything, in scripts and everything, because I don't want to be Inspector Clouseau investigates.
Mhm.
And so I had these scripts, and then I set up something to illustrate something. It all worked, and then I just wanted to tear it down and start the next thing. It wouldn't stop.
It's good for building. Pay as you go.
Yeah, I tried to stop it again, and it just wouldn't stop. And so, it was in the shutting down or deleting or whatever phase. It was just time for lunch break, so I said, hey guys, lunch break. We had lunch. We got back. It was still deleting stuff.
Nice.
I don't think I ever recovered from that in the course of that workshop.
Wonderful product.
The price of programmers driving programmers implementing stuff with pops up thingies and eventual consistency. Eventually, it was shut down.
At least it was working, right? Not so fast. But
Value of eventually.
yeah. Well, I think it also got better, I assume.
Yeah, it did get better, definitely. But as we can see,
Now they can
We're
fix
still-
all the issues with AI ops. That's
how we've seen how well that worked for Amazon.
Yeah, we have a lot of topics we could talk about in episodes, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to have Evan back. We're gonna have to have him though do a controversial opinion though. That's I'm gonna do a preamble so Evan can think of his controversial take. That it has to be really controversial. It can't be that we should all be friends and hold hands. That's not a controversial opinion, Evan.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Exactly. But like one of the main takeaways, just for the listener, Netlab is amazing. Virtualization is amazing. We are spoiled to death compared to 5, 10, 3, 4 years ago. We are spoiled for choice when it comes to automation and testing stuff in the lab. It's wonderful today compared to how it was. It could be better. It was a lot worse. It is painful, and
It was people who are like 30 years old can't imagine how bad it was.
I'm 35 and I can see the scars on my slightly older peers, and I go, oh dear, oh they shiver. What do you say, lab? Oh no, I don't want to rock.
You know what we had to do for training? Because once I was doing this training, Cisco training for a training partner, and I got there, and usually, I was doing training for Cisco, and everything would be nicely racked and stacked. These guys were doing training on some fancy locations, so in a hotel conference room. So I got this ruggedized box. I was like, oh, the routers and cables are in there. Oh, here's the floppy disk. You will have to upgrade the software.
Best of luck, everyone.
Yeah. So after a few of those experiences, we said, no, we are going into remote labs, and we will have our own rack at home, and we will never, ever deal with, oh, I have a few old routers, we can do stuff on them approach to training. So either we know you and you have everything nicely racked and stacked and we'll use that, or we will use our remote labs. This was when internet latency was measured in seconds. So how do you do interactive telnet sessions over half of the world?
You just push the button and wait for a couple of minutes. It's fine.
ISDN.
This
Who would have thought that you can run 8 or 16 telnet sessions over a 64 kilobit ISDN circuit?
Jesus.
TCP header compression does miracles.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely tools. We got so many tools today. We got endless tools to handle everything
Yeah.
here, and
And we're still complaining.
we're still complaining. We'll never stop complaining. Just in my notes here, I wanted to highlight one thing. Like there is a very practical limitation between the lab that someone who doesn't know this is obvious. Hardware versus the Linux platforms. The FRRs, they are fully virtual. They are the first class citizens. All is well. The Ciscos, some of the Aristors, some of the containers that are production grade, well, quote unquote production grade, are better. And then you have like the slop tier. Certain images that are just really terrible. All of them suffer from the thing that is, as soon as it goes on hardware, it starts acting a little different, don't it? So that's kind of just keep that, kids, in the back of your head the entire time. There's going to be a maximum VLAN table on this particular version. There's going to be a maximum ARP count. There's always going to be, just go to your hardware guide and find the word max or limit, and then just search the guide for those numbers, and that's going to save you a lot of time and pain.
Also, it's worth pointing out that those limits are multidimensional, so you can't get the maximum limit in all dimensions.
Exactly. So
And how dimensions interrelate is sometimes poorly documented.
and that's why you get a lot of money, and then the vendor will fly you out to a nice location, take you out to lunch. They'll have it ready for you, whatever it is you're planning to buy. That's where you want to be in life. You don't want to be lab monkeying it like some loser. You want to be eating ribeye and then just waltzing in. That's where you want to be, kids.
That's called the executive briefing center.
Those are,
But the PO has to be big enough.
yeah. Cash money, baby. Cash money. We don't have that enough cash in Iceland. Okay, so that concludes our first foray with Ivan about Netlab. I hope, I know that we went a little bit back and forth. I hope the listener enjoyed it, but nobody escapes without giving a controversial opinion, and Ivan is just made out of those. So this is gonna rile up somebody. Ivan, do you have a controversial opinion?
Well, haven't you heard enough of them already?
They sound so reasonable to me, but I might be too controversial. So
You should have prompted me in advance, and then I would look brain dead for the last 2 hours trying to figure out something really controversial. So
I can prompt you. The conference scene slash the education space. Are we getting any value out of conferences anymore, or did we ever get, like, did COVID wreck everything? Like, what is your hot take?
well, this won't be controversial. Anyway, I stopped getting value out of presentations in conferences I would usually attend decades ago. Because once you reach certain level, you only go to the presentations to get the last 20%. And the speaker always has to do all the intros and all that stuff, and then they run out of time and you never get to the last 20%. That's why I stopped going to Cisco Live. And there's nothing wrong with Cisco Live. It's just that,
It's huge.
I've been there too many times and I've seen too many other things. Then there are things that are worth attending just for the fun of it, like the Mike Bouchon's session at AutoCon. And it's recorded, right? It's live, so you can go and watch it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed some security conferences because things were out of my comfort zone, but still close enough that I could understand what they were talking about. Not when they went it into, well, even if they go into how you break the prefetch cache, I had enough, hardware thingies in my life 40 years ago, so I can still relate to that. The real value of conferences for me is the hallway track,
Best track.
which worked great at AutoCon. usually doesn't work well at other conferences.
And the hallways are like aircraft carriers at certain conferences, then it's not much of a threat.
Yeah. Plus, people go into presentations or there is no shared space where everyone knows that the hallway track is taking place there.
Mhm.
So I was at a lot of conferences where, the hallways are empty during the presentations. Whereas at AutoCon, like probably half of us were, the interesting half was in the hallway.
Hallway track is fun. Hallway track is fun. Recordings are good. See, controversial opinion in the bag. Conference organizers hate this guy for his, you're supposed to be in the conference. You're supposed to be engaging. Da, 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 da. We'll watch if it's
Well, this is now an opinion that some people will hate me about. They sold you the ticket. They don't care where you are.
Hey, there you go. There you go. The vendor's already got your name badge scanned. It's going to give you a pair of socks. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. And I'm happy if I meet you guys in the hallway and we have fun.
There we go. See, that's an underrated opinion. You got to have fun with this stuff. Otherwise, you started to turn into one of those people. Urs, I think that's a wrap for us. We're at hour and 40.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Ivan.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always nice chatting with you guys.
And of course, the website is ipspaces.net, right? And anywhere else that people should be. Do you post anywhere else or?
No, netlab.tools.
Netlab.tools, yeah. These will all be in
Those
the
are
show.
the two things, I guess.
Perfect. And you've turned on verification on LinkedIn. Good job. That's
What did I do?
apparently you need to know your email address if you want to connect on LinkedIn with you. I found that out on the airplane. I was like, oh man, I wrote down his email. I know his email.
Oh, yeah. I got some, out of the
Interesting
blue requests from people I've never.
Uh-huh.
I have no problem if I meet someone somewhere and they send me a LinkedIn request. I have no problem if I communicate with someone and they send me a LinkedIn request. But if someone sends me a request just because we share a connection and that connection has 1,500 connections, so sorry.
Listen, Habibi, I have this config. Could you validate? No.
The best story about that, good old days when we all were starting blogging and, people would really go and ask for free stuff. That stopped recently. So it looks like everyone is just went for AI, which is good. I'm fine. So this guy sends an email to one of my friends saying, hey, I have to build this service provider network and it has to have a ring topology. How would that design look like? And he replies, like a donut.
That'll be $5,000.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode. Again, links in the show notes. Go check out Netlab. Do it before you actually need it in an emergency because there is a learning curve, and it's going to be one of those tools that's really handy to grab, in my opinion. So, on behalf of the Network Automagic team, we'll see you in the next one.